Hi everyone. What I'm going to talk about is going to be an eye opener. It has transformed my life for sure. So let's get right into the discussion. What I'm going to share with you today is about my experiences with practicing spirituality. This highest level of consciousness, where if you go, uh, you can do whatever you want, right? Let me explain about this in a bit more detail and what sort of things that I was able to do. So I started off this whole journey for spirituality like a monk, a week after the COVID situation happened. Roughly in April, the auxiliary habits were taking cold showers every day and completely detoxing your brain from dopamine. In addition to that, I was doing sadhana as well. The sadhana was, the original or the main part here, which I followed to go to these higher levels of consciousness. So, sadhana practice number one, I did Simha kriya and Surya namaskar and Isha kriya. You'll find links to all of these things in the description right below. And I used to do the regular meditation where you focus on the breath. Just try to eliminate all the thoughts in your head, focus on the breath. So, and there was another thing that I did, I forgot, sorry, Pranayama. The way by which you can clean all your nerves, right? You will see the link for Pranayama in the description below as well. This happened on day 7 when I was meditating in my house. I took a cold shower and I sat down and meditated. Half an hour passed, half an hour, right? Suddenly, my temple started paining, right? And there was this one instant moment that I could remember, right? Well, there were no thoughts at all in my head, no thoughts at all. I felt that the only thing that's present in this whole universe was my breath. That's all. That's all I could experience. This led me somewhere even more deep. When I opened my eyes, I saw the whole world as a movie in front of me. In ancient scriptures of India, they call the whole world as illusion. It's just an illusion. I used to read about this in the scriptures and I couldn't comprehend it as much as I do now. What they used to do was, say that the whole world is an illusion, as in it exists as an illusion, right? It's not an illusion per se, but it exists as an illusion, but it exists only as an illusion, nothing else. If it cannot exist as an illusion, it does not exist. That's what reality is. Put it succinctly. So, what am I trying to say by all of this? Only if there is a conscious entity, only if there is consciousness will the reality exist. That's all. This was, in fact, given a serious thought to by prominent people like Einstein, Heisenberg, Shrodinger, etc., Planck as well. There's this very interesting experiment that was made by Shrodinger. It's called Shrodinger cat experiment, thought experiment. So please check out a link to that in the description as well. It's quite interesting. And there's another experiment called Young's double slit experiment, where electrons were bombarded onto a screen where there were slits, and the resultant waves were captured on a screen on the other side of the source of electrons. What was very interesting is that when the incoming electrons were observed by a conscious entity, when there is consciousness trying to figure out or trying to interact, only then will that exist. So electrons, when they were bombarded, they were particles, right? Electrons are particles, but electrons have dual nature, because every particle has a dual nature. It acts as a wave and it acts as a particle as well. Now electrons, when they were bombarded and when they were observed by a conscious entity, they behaved as particles. So the interference on the other side of the screen was not present. They behaved just like particles. when there was no conscious entity observing it. They behave like waves, and there was interference on the other side of the screen. So interference is a concept where when light is sent to slits, the light that's coming out of these slits will interfere. So it's like waves interfering. But light also has another form of existence called photons. Like it behaves as particles, right? Similarly, when electrons were used in this experiment, they behaved as waves when there was no conscious entity, and they behaved as electrons when there was a conscious entity observing. Nobody has actually found out what this consciousness is. There's this one very interesting scientist in the USA who's trying to do a lot of experiments, and he says that consciousness can be quantified. He says that an entity like a human being has higher level of consciousness. An entity like a cat or a dog has a bit of lower level of consciousness. Inanimate things, non-living things have a different level of consciousness altogether. So it can be quantified like 10. Your consciousness is 10, my consciousness is 5, something like that. Quite interesting. The math allows the existence of consciousness, however, the physics has not proved it. So I'm attaching the link to that video as well in the description. Please check that out. Quite interesting. So what I've experienced is that when I was transcending to these higher levels of consciousness, I was able to see for myself the fact that this world is just an illusion. I was able to feel that. People might call that placebo, but I don't think so, because it was very, very clear, man. There are no words for that. It's like this, you cannot explain the taste of sweetness to a person who has not ever experienced tasting sugar or tasting sweet. You cannot just explain to him. You just have to find it for himself. And trust me, this is not an experience of this physical body. Nah, this is some other experience, man, of higher dimension or higher thing which we cannot perceive with our senses. I guess you just have to figure it out for yourself. But I can tell you the methods to do that, how to go there, a lot of other things. Now, another thing. That's first thing, being able to see reality as an illusion. So what comes out of this? Alright, reality is an illusion. How cool that is. But what is it for me? If it's an illusion, it's an illusion. What's the big deal, right? Let me tell you what the big deal is. What does it mean by saying that reality is an illusion? It's saying that reality is a movie in front of you. Once you've got this realization that reality is just a movie, and every occurrence, the past, the present, the future, is just another frame in this movie. If you're watching a movie on your TV, can you control it? You can, right? You can pause it, you can rewind it, you can do things with it. Similarly, when you realize the whole reality is an illusion or it's a movie, you realize the fact that just because of the fact that you're a conscious entity, you can bend reality, you can create your own reality, you can choose the reality from the millions of possibilities that are dangling around right there. Dig this in, right there, yeah, right there. Just there. Not in the past, not in the future, just there. This is the hard part, man. It's tough to be in the present, trust me. I have been in the present only for a few days in my whole life until now. I was in the present when I was a really small kid. I wasn't present. And I used to think about the past, and I used to think about the future. I was completely in the present. Few Buddhist monks in this world, few Buddhist monks are able to stay in the present for extended periods of time. Being in the present, trust me, it's the most awesome feeling. Damn, man. You're boundless by the energy of the present. We'll cover that in our next videos. The second experience I wanted to discuss in this video is that I was able to predict things when I entered to those states of consciousness. But usually people say these things happen when you're high, right? High on weed or some psychedelics or whatever. But I was not high on anything. I didn't even smoke. I did nothing, man. For the last almost 3 to 4 months, my body is devoid of all kinds of chemicals that one can inject into a body. I was able to predict things, small things, like I was sitting in my room and I was just sitting still. I saw that my father is going to come into my room now, and he came. I'm not kidding, man. I'm far away from kidding as anybody could possibly be. I was like actually scared, man, for a bit. What the hell is happening to me? Yeah, so I guess we can predict the future when you're sufficiently geared up to move into different states of consciousness. I'm going to explain how to do all of that. These crazy experiences, I have only a few words to communicate them to you, because I cannot communicate everything of it, nor will anybody on the other side of the screen be able to understand, even if I try to communicate, because the level of understanding that anybody has got is solely determined by the thought processes that he or she has been exposed to before. The experiences make the mind, right? That's all. The thoughts, the memories, the experiences of the past, all of these things are memories which you have accumulated. That's your mind. So I'm at lack of words. However, I can tell you the methods to experience these things for yourself. Third thing that I was able to experience was that I was able to see things just how they are, right? So most of the times in our lives, we try to attach a connotation to any event or any reality. Anything, either thought, reality, or any event. Events and again, manifestation of reality. So for any reality or thought, we try to connotate it, right? That's how our mind is. But just remember, when we were kids, we saw things just the way they are. I was able to do that, man. I saw things and I just saw them neutrally. I realized, dude, I had been hating this guy for long. It's just another human being trying to survive. You see the things just the way they are. The benefit of this is you get better at decision making. When you're able to see things just how they are, without any connotation or without any prejudice, what happens is that you get better at decision making. For almost a year, though I was spiritually inclined, there was a point of time when I was really low and I couldn't hold the reins of spirituality because of peer pressure, because of the social conditioning and whatnot. I fell victim to a lot of really, really bad habits. I thought being the person who gratifies all the pleasures, all the physical pleasures, is the route to real happiness. And that was the conditioning that I was driven towards because of the social setting that I was in. But when I was doing this practice of spirituality for myself, I was sitting in my house for almost like 45 days now, and I had more leisure time with which I could experiment things. The way I speak changed, my voice became more deeper. Number two, I'm more at peace, man. Shit, we think about a lot of things in our life, but trust me, when you live in the present, when you just be, man. That's all there is to life. You just be. If you want something, think about it. Go with pure intention. Do what's needed. Forget about that thought. Things will manifest. Forget about deciding too much. Just okay, alright. I want $1 million. How about that? I'm curious to find out what kind of a life a person would live when he or she has $1 million. I'm just curious about that. Let's just try it out. That's how you go, right? When you do all of this sadhana and just be, right? This is the kind of mindset you develop. You don't seek things out of a place where you don't have them. You seek things out of curiosity. Alright, I already am happy. Let's see how that is. And you have this mindset. You're saying that I don't care if it comes to me or not, because I already have that happiness inside of me. Whatever there's to be, in the world, there are all kinds of happiness, all kinds of peace, all kinds of ecstasy, whatever you call it. It's all inside of me. But I'm just curious how this would be. That's the kind of mindset you develop. And with that mindset, you just get it, man. There's no reason why you would not. Probably there's one factor which is called time, which will constrain when you'll get it, but you will get it. Another last experience that I wanted to share with you is that you do not see yourself as a body or a mind. You don't see yourself as a body or a mind. What's the benefit of this? I used to crave for things. I used to be compulsive very compulsive. I used to be prone to a lot of bad habits, right? Bad habits come out of compulsions. When you realize that you're no longer the body, you're not the mind, you believe that you need not gratify this body, or you need not gratify the mind. You just be, man. What the shit is going to happen? Let it happen. Alright. A tsunami is going to come. Alright. Okay, let's go. Let's get out of here. That's when you'll have to react or respond. But don't worry too much, man, for things that you don't know will happen or not. This is a state of mind when you realize that you're not the mind or the body. You realize that you're forever. If you consider that you're this body, that's not true, because the body is an accumulation of the food that you eat. It's eventually going to dissolve into this nature. The mind is a bunch of thoughts which you have gathered from the social conditioning that you've been exposed to. So then what are you? Let me tell you something, what you are. Your consciousness, that's what you are. You're a part of this nature, just like everybody else is. You own this body and your mind. You own them, but they are not you. When you realize this, all your compulsions are gone. All your compulsions are gone. And if you want to get something, it's just like putting another CD into the DVD player and playing that movie. That's all it is. And putting that CD into the DVD player, that's just your thought. That's how I see it. If you want to bend reality or change reality, you just put a new CD into the DVD player. And how do you do that? With your thoughts. Simple. So, yeah, these are the different experiences I've had.